Back in December, China revealed 2 new stealth aircraft in testing to the world, and immediately the internet started acting like this revelation meant China had surpassed the US in aviation technology. But try as I might, I just can't figure out why anyone would actually think that. These aircraft represent the 3rd and 4th stealth jets China has ever tested, whereas the US's history of stealth aircraft development dates all the way back to the early 1960s with Boeing's Model 853-21 Quiet Bird. In fact, right now, the US has more different stealth aircraft in testing than China has ever produced at all, with somewhere between a half dozen and a dozen publicly disclosed stealth jet efforts, not counting those tucked away behind classified lines of accounting. So let's very briefly run through a list of the new stealth jets Uncle Sam has publicly told us he started flying over the past 5 or 6 years. And if you want to learn more about a specific one, just let me know in the comments and I'll get after it. And we'll start with the big daddy of them all, the B-21 Raider. The B-21 is a heavy payload stealth multi-role bomber equipped with the most advanced intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, or ISR suite, ever affixed to an aircraft, allowing this low observable bomber to serve as one of several central nodes in modern kill webs. The B-21 made its first flight back in November of 2023. And then we have the Next Generation Air Dominance effort, which started as a classified X-plane program that saw more than $1 billion invested into the development of 3 flying prototypes. At least one of these jets was not only flying, but already setting performance records by 2020. Now, these aircraft are the basis for both the Air Force's Next Generation Air Dominance fighter that's currently on hold, and the Navy's F/A-XX fighter that's still moving ahead at full steam. Then we have the General Atomics XQ-67 and the Gambit series that followed. Now, the XQ-67 was originally developed for the Air Force's Off-Board Sensing Station program, but this platform went on to become the basis for General Atomics' new Gambit series of combat drones that all share common core elements like landing gear, flight control systems, and more to make it possible to field a wide variety of aircraft with different stealth and performance capabilities at a much lower price point. The first of which is currently being tested as a collaborative combat aircraft to fly alongside advanced fighters as a stealth air-to-air missile truck. Now, the XQ-67 made its first flight in February of 2024. Then we have Northrop Grumman's Model 437 Vanguard. This is another stealth jet competing to serve as a next-generation drone wingman. The aircraft has a wider wingspan than the F-35A and an unrefueled range of more than 3,500 miles. This jet is also a testbed for low-cost, high-speed production, conducting a great deal of both development and initial flight testing in an entirely digital environment, which has a lot to do with its incredible fuel efficiency. This aircraft has been fielded with a cockpit currently so that pilots can actually fly it, but it will eventually also come in drone form, and it made its first flight in August of 2024. Then we've got Kratos' XQ-58 Valkyrie, another extremely low-cost stealth drone meant to support crewed fighters in combat. The Kratos Valkyrie is capable of being launched from a single point using a rocket, eliminating the need for long, well-manicured runways for takeoff. Envisioned as a borderline disposable asset, the Valkyrie can carry small-diameter bombs internally to engage targets with an unrefueled range of, again, 3,500 plus miles. And maybe most importantly, it only costs about the price of a single Tomahawk cruise missile to replace. Now, there are currently electronic warfare variants of this platform also in testing, and the Valkyrie made its first flight in March of 2019. And then we have Anduril's Fury. Now, this was originally envisioned as a Red Air fighter drone meant to simulate the performance characteristics of adversary 5th generation fighters. This aircraft was designed by Blue Force Technologies before that company was purchased by Anduril, giving the aircraft a significant infusion of artificial intelligence and autonomy systems, making it into a fully fledged combat aircraft instead. Now, various testbeds for Fury have already flown, and the new fighter wingman version is expected to start flying this year. Up next is Boeing's MQ-25 Stingray. Now, this was originally meant to serve as a low observable, carrier-based intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance and strike platform for the US Navy. But then the program pivoted to instead create the world's first carrier-based drone refueling tanker, extending the range of Super Hornets and F-35Cs without risking America's larger non-stealth tanker aircraft. Now, at 51 feet long with a 75-foot wingspan, this stealth jet is a lot larger than an F-35 and can deliver 16,000 pounds of fuel hundreds of miles from the carrier. And in the future, there are already plans to arm this aircraft with AGM-158 long-range anti-ship missiles aside from its refueling pod. And the MQ-25 made its first flight in September of 2019. Now, it's also worth noting that there are several other stealth aircraft that we're aware of but are so secretive we're not even sure what they're called. Platforms like the RQ-180, which seems to have a lot in common with the B-21 Raider, but to this date is so secretive we're not even sure if that's actually its name. So what I'm really trying to convey here is that I agree it's important that we not understate the potential threat posed by new developments in Chinese stealth aviation, but it's just as important that we not blindly overstate it as well. The United States has more than a 3-decade head start in fielding stealth aircraft, and while China has made significant leaps in recent years, some fuzzy pictures of an airplane with outstanding vertical tail surfaces should not be enough to convince you that the sky is falling.